sunshine. God is everywhere, God is everywhere, God is everywhere giving. God is everywhere, God is everywhere, God is everywhere giving to the love, giving to the heartbeat, giving to the joy, giving to the miracle of life. I pray for a sign of God, and then I saw the perfection in the universe. I pray to be one with God. Then I remembered God is within me. Yeah, God is everywhere. God is everywhere. God is everywhere within. God is everywhere. God is everywhere. God is everywhere within. Within the love, within your heartbeat, within the joy, within the miracle of life. God is
everywhere.
God is everywhere.
Yeah, we tend to forget it sometimes.
But to remember His wholeness, His completeness, is bringing us back to that feeling of fullness and being enough.
Yeah, this is something that lately it's really talked about all the time. That most people live with this impression that they're not enough, and we're not excluded from going into these places sometimes, but it's true when we reconnect. You wrote that song exactly when in a moment of disconnection, right?
Yeah, I was in Egypt, where my husband is from, and we were there for about 7 months, and didn't speak the language. It's a desert, a very barren, dry landscape. It's got many beautiful aspects to it, absolutely, the ancient history, the culture. But we were quite isolated where we were staying, and I didn't speak the language, like I mentioned, and we were there for a while, and the garden was my sanctuary on the grass, and I was sitting there one afternoon, and I was feeling a bit disconnected. I was feeling quite alone, feeling that I needed some connection, some depth, and I was just sitting there by myself, and I was meditating.
Yeah.
And as I was there, I closed my eyes, I had my hands out, open to receive. And I felt this beautiful breeze blow.
That special one.
And I felt the sun shining, and I knew I'm not alone.
That's it.
God is there, and God is everywhere.
That's it.
And that's where this song came,
Yes. We feel it. We feel it. That's why it fills up so much. Came from a real place. Yeah, the disconnection is can be scary somehow, but at the same time it can disappear so quickly. Yeah, when we find that way into back into that source. I know that obviously for you too. For me, it's meditation, as you mentioned. Yeah, especially after years of trying different meditations and never reaching that place of direct access to that peace. It was the most revealing thing, when I tried Sahaj 11 years ago already. I can't believe it's 11 years, but because at that moment you really feel you actually access that very thing that all these meditations that I had tried promised. You become it, and quite instantly. This was life-changing for me, because I had always heard that God is within you. I always heard that all my life, and I also wanted to believe it, and somehow I believed it, but I was not experiencing it. I knew it, and I would even say it to people. God is with you, but it was not a concrete feeling. But through Sahaja meditation, that Kundalini awakening makes you understand where God is within you. It makes you understand it, not mentally. You feel it. And what is amazing about that is not that you suddenly feel like, you're this superior being because now you're enlightened. It makes you closer to every human being, even closer, because you know that all of us have exactly that same thing inside. So this is why we did that, right? This is why we did this group. It's in order to share and also meet all the souls that are either already know their Kundalinis or the ones that are looking for it. And we've received this amazing gift. Rosie was actually born into this. She's been born into this culture.
I was born into Sahaja practice, Sahaja meditation practice. My grandmother, she started practicing in the 80s. And then my parents came along, and they really benefited a lot from it. And so by the time I was born, my parents were already dedicated yogis. And
because it had been running since 1970, right?
That's right. That's right. And there was a school that was set up in the mountains in the Himalayas in India. And I went there as a 6-year-old to Dharamshala school. And we were surrounded by jungle. It was this picturesque, beautiful landscape and the beautiful foothills of the Himalayas just watching over us. They were our guardians,
Wow.
So that was our view every day, this breathtaking view, and waking up to that every day, and picking walnuts off the trees and berries in the jungle, and and that's where I got to have this beautiful instrument introduced into my life. As a 9-year-old, I started playing the sitar, and this whole world of Indian music opened up, and along with the sitar there was a classical element, Indian classical, but there was also the devotional side with the bhajans and the chanting and the mantras.
And you probably at that moment already realized the power that singing and music can bring to your devotion.
Exactly.
And
joy.
And that's it. So the devotion already comes much more naturally when you're singing it and when there is joy. Because there is joy in knowing that God is there.
Absolutely. And that's what we've chosen the name Rayah, which actually translates as friend of God.
It comes from the Hebrew
word. It comes out of from a Hebrew derived word. So Rayah meaning friend of God.
Friend of God. And our goal is to meet all the friends of God. get together with all the friends of God.
And sharing joy and devotion of God.
And especially at a time today where basically insanity and craziness is right there at your door every day. I really believe that it's just a matter of perspective. I really think that the insanity and the craziness is very exposed, and the beauty and the light and the love is underexposed, just in the way things are organized. But there are much more loving people. I think there are much more friends of God out there than enemies of God. And we do precise, for anyone tuning in at this moment, that we mean God as an energy. We mean God as an energy of love. So through the Sahaja Yoga that we practice, what we've both embraced to the deepest is that when we get in touch with that energy, we realize that since it's an energy that you really feel and that transforms you from inside, you can be Muslim, you can be Jewish, you can be Hindu, you can be any religion, and experience the very same experience of this energy. So in the end, we from all religions can find ourselves in one experience, which is the experience of feeling that divine energy in you, coming from you. You see what you can emanate as. So in the end, religions become just ways of worshiping, but what, as human beings, we should first and foremost worship that divine energy in us, because that's what makes us completely one. There's no difference between us if we're all that energy. So we're eternally grateful to Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. We always have her with her. She's so pretty. She has the loveliest smile, and she had the biggest heart in the world. You know that she went around the world for about 40 years, never asking for one penny, never. To practice Sahaja Yoga, you never pay, because she believes that this awakening of this energy is you're born with it. We're born with it. It's your birthright. You can't pay for God. You can't pay for your spirit. That's it. You can't. But that's it. She always said, "How can you pay for something you already have? How can you try to purchase something you already have?" Or she also said that funny things that, well, you can't pay a tree to grow fruit. Yeah, so here's $20. Yeah. Grow me 6 peaches. So it's basically the same. She just made it very accessible for us to understand that it's there, and not only understand it, actually experience it, feel it. So
live it. It's a living process.
It's a living process.
It's a living process.
That's it. And we actually just did some videos, meditation videos that you can find on YouTube. Meditation moments with Rayah, where you can just do the exercise that she showed us how to do.
Very simple.
Hopefully you get in touch with that energy. It's everyone can do it, everyone can share it. God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great.
express the glory and the beauty and the wonderment of you. Truth be told, your love unfolds when hearts are open, the light rises up, up, up. 'Cause God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great. Surrender your mind, and in time you'll enter to the spacious kingdom of light. There is only joy to be felt at this point, surrounding you, engulfing you in bliss, bliss, bliss. 'Cause God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great. 'Cause I never felt anything like this. This joy is so pure, you should try it. Ocean of love, let's dive in. Surrender to the truth, 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 truth. Universal peace is possible. Start the inner journey, time to make it real. Light that candle, it's time to unify. Your heart will show you proof, 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 proof. From the atom to the seed, to the flower, to the tree. God's creation is wonderful, and it's here to be enjoyed. There's so much beauty to behold. 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 There's so much beauty, 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 beauty. 'Cause God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great. Sitar's falling over. But you've had some journeys with music, you know? I mean, you were born in New York, right?
Yeah, very quickly. After a year and a half, I just said, I had enough of this place. I'm leaving.
So born in New York, and then your parents migrated to Montreal.
Yeah. They came from Haiti, and they unfortunately had to flee the difficult political regime at the time, but made the wonderful choice of going to Canada. Really, really grateful to them. I think Canada gave us a possibility to be very open, have a lot of freedom, be free, and not have to define ourselves through being black and respecting a certain way of living, of being black. They wanted to avoid the ghettoization. And I'm grateful to them for that, because it gave me access to an openness. I was interested in everything. I had across the street my neighbors were Indian, so I was also exposed to Indian culture a bit through them. Haitian culture was definitely home, and playing the drums is...
That was your first instrument, right?
Yeah, it was actually. It was actually the drum kit. The drum kit, yeah. At 15, I had a girl band and everything. And my dream was to be a drummer. And I still play it. I love it. Actually, we did that jam not so long ago. You were on bass.
Yeah.
And I was on drums, and gonna get back to that. And then I had a journey through all kinds of musical styles, from Haitian music at home and dancing, very tribal rhythms when I was 4 years old in my father's dance troupe. So I really grew up with these deep folk rhythms from the drums and singing. But then going to rock, my parents listened to a lot of classical at home, Mexican music, really very open. And my brother brought up the best disco and funk in the house, So I grew up with all of this, and then suddenly I find myself later on becoming a singer, that I basically sing all of this with great pleasure.
It's in your blood. It's already...
Yes. When it's in your childhood, I guess you absorb it very quickly. And the only thing I haven't tried yet is mariachi. I haven't sung.
I too played drums when I was 16 in the band in high school.
That was
a rock band.
A rock band, yeah, right.
By rock I mean Mariah Carey. That was our version of rock. It was a girls' school, white minority.
I see.
It was a lot of people who were into R&B and soul, and so Mariah Carey rock.
Was
And then I got onto the bass because I was just really attracted by the depth, the beauty of that bottom end.
Absolutely. You know that quality. This is my fetish instrument. I mean, I'm crazy about the drums, but my real instrument is bass. I love it.
It's a great instrument.
Yeah.
So the drums, sitar was first, and then I got gifted a guitar when I was 15. So I started songwriting. My dad showed me a couple of chords. My stepdad had a studio at the time, and he did a lot of recording with him in the studio, and he really pushed my songwriting. He said, "No, you're gonna write," and he really sat me down and
Can I have his phone?
me.
Can I have his phone so I could thank him?
He encouraged me to write. So I got my writing on when I was about 16, and had a band with my mom at the time. Who was trained classical
Who
singer.
has a band with her mom? How cool is that?
When I was growing up, my mom was my favorite singer because she had released, a kind of some devotional music, some classical, she'd released some music, and so she was my favorite singer growing up,
Wow.
And then from there, the jazz singer in the jazz band in high school as well. So that's when jazz came into my life as a 17-year-old, and then started gigging. And then I also picked up double bass for the end of high school, and my first jazz band was playing double bass and singing.
Oh, cool.
In Sydney. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And
this I did not know. Huh?
That was a tough lug, and then just started gigging around the scene.
Mostly as singer and bass player?
I did everything. I played Indian weddings, played sitar at Indian weddings.
Wow, look at that.
Dress up in my Punjabis and gagras.
I mean, when you're living, when you're becoming, or when you are a professional singer, yeah, that versatility is...
But as a musician as well, you know, to be able to... So I do some gigs on cajon, some gigs as a bass player, some gigs as a guitarist, singer, some gigs as a guitarist, and it's really varied.
Yeah, yeah. I just recently did that gig singing opera. You know, it was like
that was a good gig.
I was dreaming of that when I was a child, to sing opera, break a glass from a distance. I still will want to. Anyways, all this to say that, yeah, you were asking me about the journey. Yeah, definitely. The journey has been very varied.
And your first big musical gig was with
Miss Titanic.
Miss Titanic. Céline Dion.
Madame Céline Dion. Yes. Yeah. That was my what kind of officialized me as, okay, I'm a professional singer now. Yeah, I started quite early. I was 25 when I got that gig.
Wow.
And I went on tour with her for 2 years, all around the world. And you know, I got to see what it is to be on that side of the music biz, and how it works. And vocally, I believe, you know, what a great teacher to have. Just working with her and having her in your ears every night, you just learn from that, you know. And yeah, so on a professional level, I was very grateful to have done that gig.
But how was your soul?
That's it. That's it. It was professional learning. It was a professional school, but I was not fulfilled, and I was too young at the time to be able to identify things like I am today. But I knew that deep down inside, I never wanted to do music just to get a big fat paycheck and not feel anything. So it was not because I was a back vocalist. It was not my element. It was not my musical element, although respect, great singer. But I think even before going on tour, actually, I think I had told you I had already started writing my own songs. I had found an amazing band in Montreal, and I was starting to find my musical identity, having tried all kinds of things. I was starting to find my own thing. I wrote in French, and the stuff that came out ended up fitting to hip-hop a bit. R&B, hip-hop. So
and that became your first album?
It was not actually. That's the thing. The whole thing of Céline actually took me off the path of creating the album. It took me 10 years to get back to create the album finally. But before the album, before going on tour with Céline, I already knew that I had something to say. But then when you get a call and to go on tour with Céline, it's very difficult to say no. Although my gut feeling kind of said no. Isn't it funny? Yeah? But at the time, you just don't say. You don't say no.
I felt the same way when I was touring with a band, an Israeli-Australian band called Old Man River. They had a #1 hit in Japan.
Yeah, I heard that.
#1 hit in Japan and Italy. And we were touring all over Australia. That was my first big touring gig as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
The band had this dream. They were looking for this band member to play sitar, guitar, and sing. And there was an in-band joke. They're like, we're never going to find this person to play these three. And they wanted her to be a woman as well, you know.
Whoa!
And then they found me. Wow. And I remember we were touring, and we had shows in Japan and in Korea and in Singapore and all over Australia. And I went 1 year not writing a single song, you know.
That's it.
And you get so drained from the touring. It's so. And I'd come home from tour and I would just cry and cry and cry, and I didn't know why.
Why? Yeah, because we're too young to understand, but we know that that's it. You used to say, but how come you're not happy? You got all these staying at 5-star hotels. You're doing this. Everything that people say that you're supposed to have. You're playing with this big star. Saying, yeah, but it's
Yeah, but I realized what was missing was that I didn't have my meditation practice. You know, I drifted from my spirituality at that point. Yeah. I drifted from my meditation practice, my Sahaja Yoga practice, and so I didn't have the tools to, after every gig, come home and just cleanse my energy, cleanse all my chakras, and come back to balance. I didn't have those tools active at the time, even though I knew that I'd forgotten them. You know, I'd gone so far away from it, and that's what took me away. You know? That's why I was just so depleted and exhausted at the end of tour.
Yeah.
But now, you know, now we have these tools.
Yeah, that's what's amazing. And they're so easy. This is what's fascinating. It's so easy. It's right there. It's automatic. That's why it's called Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja means spontaneous. Yoga means union with the divine. So it's a spontaneous union with the divine, with your divine self, actually. And since we know that every human being has this energy inside, then it's easier to see the divine in the other and try to act from that point. Become more forgiving when if you're able to hold on to the divine in the other person, you become more understanding. You can connect to the heart inside of you and connect to their hearts. Yeah, even if when they're having a hard day and they're being unpleasant, it's easier to kind of go there when you or yourself are in your heart space.
So now we've got the tools.
We got the tools and we want to share them.